Hey, welcome back. We have had a long and entertaining journey here on Extinction. I was making how-to videos before Extinction dropped, but this was my first Let's Play series. I have learned so much on how to make videos and prep for each video. I think I'm getting better at it. I love playing Ark. My goal is to make entertaining videos that have some kind of educational value. Playing on console is different than playing on PC. There are different features and functions available on both. I try to highlight what I've learned on PS5 and share it with others. Whether it's the extended hotbar, mod limitations on console, or how certain dynos work, I'm always trying to teach something in each video. Now, I don't know everything about Ark, but that's what's great about YouTube and the comment section. People in the community can help each other learn. I love that. Today, I'll review some milestones of this series and put closure to what we've accomplished. I'll keep grinding out resources here and prep for a fight against the Beta King Titan, but I'll do that in my spare time and I'll record it at a later date. I did figure out how to get the new implant from beating the Gamma King Titan. You must watch the cutscene at the end of the fight, and you must watch it all the way to the end. I didn't do that, and I thought I missed out on something. But I did find console commands that showed the cutscene, and then when I spawned on Scorched Earth, I had my new implant. I'm going to start another series on Ragnarok, but I'll use my alternate account for that. That keeps this account free to stay here in Extinction. Let's take a tour of our progress around the map. Here we are in the city, in the sanctuary, and this is where we got our start. We actually started off on a small bob shack right down there, and I decided I wanted to build up here. Now, I built a rooftop base here, and this is where we are on the map. So what I did is I put some cliff platforms out here. I put one out here, and then I put one over here. And I spread out that way. Now, in the beginning, we had our breeding barn over here, and then we had our gotchas set up over here, two on this side and two on this side. And in here, we had all of our plant species growing to feed those gotchas. Over here, I had a little breeding project set up, and we had our biogrinder going over here. And I liked the space that we had. Out back, we had our tribe tower. We had so many problems with game crashing and performance. I had to remove some mods and make a lot of changes to my settings. My dinos were falling through the foundations and the cliff platforms, and they were getting stuck under the mesh way down below. I decided to move from here because the meteor storms and world events added to the crashing. I built two bases in different biomes, and I decided I would live at the one that had the best performance. But this is a nice little build. This is the Klinger Rustic Building mod that I built with the walls and the roof and all that kind of stuff, and all the glass walls. I really like the way this was open and looked. You got so much light in here, and you can see 360 around, and that was what I was aiming for when I built this. Now let's go to the snow biome and we'll take a look at the build that I did there. I love the way the snow biome looks in Ark Survival Ascended. The water and landscapes are awesome. I built on these two plateaus here, and there is one over here. So I basically did my base design over here and my breeding area over here. I love what we did here. I used the first structures from the Klinger Rustic Building mod to build the base, and that added for cold protection. Let me show you the difference. So with this base here, I wanted it to look like a Viking longhouse, typical A-frame style, but I don't like how the sloped walls look on the inside. So I actually placed regular walls, well, fur walls from the mod, and then I extended it past this. So you can look under here and see this is just fake, and I could put stuff under here, feeding troughs and any kind of stuff I wanted to. And that's just to give it that A-frame look. But you still have walls inside to work with. Out back, I went ahead and placed a water well, cooking pot, and a forge. And so we had this whole plateau to ourselves. And that was awesome. Let me demonstrate the benefit of the fur structures from this particular mod. We're going to go outside and we're going to take all our clothes off. Now, I have really high fortitude. I have boosted rates on it, and I also have a lot of points into it. And we see that the cold resistance and heat resistance is 188 on each. Now we're going to go inside And all of these torches and fireplaces are all cosmetic, which means they don't cook anything and they don't generate any heat. So in here, I have no additional heat. When we take a look, you can see that our cold resistance jumps up to 1,664 and the heat resistance is 273. That's with no clothing on at all. That's just the cold resistance and heat resistance from these structures. If I place my clothes back on, you can see that the cold and heat resistance jump way up. And this is the idea that I have for building in the snow biome. We're going to take what I learned here and use it in Ragnarok. And I plan on making a build in the murder snow using these structures. I think it'll work. Now, in the Klinger Rustic building mod, there is this bridge, and it took me some doing to get this placed. And you have to place the end piece, another end piece, and then you stretch the actual bridge between it. And it took some doing, but I got it there, and it makes it so that these two plateaus are quite useful next to each other. Now, this is the rock structures that are in the Klinger Rustic building mod, and I really like the way this looked. Now, this was all for breeding up Deinosuchus, so I needed a big, massive space. Underneath here is a generator that I've hidden under some ceilings. Some of these are foundations, and I really like the way this railing looks. I can't wait to use this build on Ragnarok as well. I've got in mind exactly what I'm going to build, and I'll be using these structures to do it, and I think it's going to look fantastic, particularly once we put some paint on it. For here, I just had a little hut that I set up for my breeding stuff, and that's basically what I use for the Deinosuchus. Here's the problem. Every time we had a game crash, the dinos would fall through the foundations, through this plateau, and then they would be underneath inside the plateau. So like right where my crosshairs are in here, there would be dinos in here. The same for this area here. I would have dinos that would be stuck in this little plateau under the foundations. And it was quite frustrating getting those dinos out every time there was a game crash. And if you remember, there were a lot of game crashes. So I just used this base as an outpost for my taming projects. We tamed so many Rex, Managarma, Daeodon, dire wolves, snow owls, and Deinosuchus. We tamed so many. And this is a great jump point to be able to get food, do some quick breeding, and restock if we needed to. So I learned a lot about building with the Rustic mod, and I'll take that into Ragnarok. Like I said, I've got some great builds planned. One last thing for the snow biome. Every single map that I got spawned here in the snow biome would be about 500 meters under the ground, deep in the mesh. I tried going into ghost mode to find them, but they weren't retrievable. So I just started dropping every map that shows in the snow biome. That was unfortunate. We're down here in the sunken forest, the underground forest. I thought about building down here. It would be good to have an outpost with a tech teleporter so I could just zip down here anytime I needed to. But this area has such bad lighting and performance. The frame rate really drops down here. Since the Unreal Engine 5.5 update, I have to admit the frames are a little better down here. But it still isn't great. I found that the dino spawns are really messed up. I've gone into ghost mode and found so many dinos in the mesh areas below the map and in the walls. We looked for a bee so many times. I still haven't had one spawn. I ended up bringing the hive from the center. I realized that once I got my gotcha breeders, I never needed to come down here again. Of course, I came down here for the boss fight, but that really is the only reason. The wasteland has some amazing landscape. It can be desolate and it can be difficult, but there are some amazing structures and landscapes all throughout the map. In addition, there's some fantastic resources way out here in the middle of nowhere. I ended up building my permanent base here. Dinos don't fall through the map. Even the ones on the ground with no foundational support are safe. I end up having a city terminal in my base. The boss cave is just below us, so I can dip down there to level dinos and harvest resources. There was a problem with overspawning on Extinction, so I went into the settings and I turned down the total dino count. That helped frames and crashing even more. I did notice that when I went to Scorched Earth to tame a Titanosaur, that the spawn rate was a lot lower. It seems somewhat empty of wild dinosaurs compared to before. So that setting is map dependent, and I've never noticed that before. At this base, we have our little house. We have a workshop. We have a massive breeding barn, a greenhouse, a biogrounder with a tech farm section. I put gotchas in the SCS terminal to help with performance, but we have space to put them out if needed. In the back, we had our tribe tower, but it is destroyed every time you use the take all structure command, so I won't replace it again. I made a video on how useless it is in single player. I have the garage over there, but that thing tried to kill us by glitching out and teleporting us under the map and outside the boundaries. My time on Extinction Ascended has been so much more fun than on Extinction Evolved. Back then, I didn't have access to mods because I was playing on a PS4. Mods make life so much easier. Also, I played on vanilla settings back then. I have boosted harvest, taming, and breeding rates now. It makes things so much quicker and better. This is a video game. It should be fun. It can be challenging and hard, but the fun factor should always be the priority. I want to thank everyone that watched my videos. All your likes, subscribes, comments, and shares means so much to me and the channel. I really appreciate the support. I want to carry the positive vibes into Ragnarok. I'll try to make my videos even better. I want them to be entertaining and educational. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.